time is 9:30. I'll call the November 12th meeting of the Millcreek Township Board of Supervisors to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded by WQLN. The camera is right there next to Cheryl. It will be broadcast on Spectrum Channel 1024 and also on the Millcreek Township Government YouTube channel with closed captioning available. Item number 3 is public comment on agenda items other than development or rezoning applications. Do we have any comment on any of those matters? Being none, we'll move on to item number 4, which is the approval of the minutes. The minutes from our prior meeting from 2 weeks ago. Any questions, comments, additions, or corrections? If none, I'll call for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, do I hear a second on that?
Mr. Chairman, I was not present at the previous meeting, so I'll refrain from making motions.
Okay, then I will second on that one there. Okay, Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
And Mr. Morgan, since you weren't here, I think you have to abstain, is that right? And I vote yes. Well, he does get the vote on
Mr. Rowe,
it?
he can vote on the minutes, yes.
Okay, yes. John, how did you vote? I'm sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
You guys did a fine job last meeting. I vote yes.
I'm glad we did. Okay. Next item is number 5, approval of the bills. Any questions or comments about those bills?
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mr. Morgan, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
And so do I. Okay, item number 6 is capital budget amendment requests. We'll turn this over to Mark Shaheski.
Okay, we've got 3 capital budget requests.
Yes.
The first one is from the police department. They would like to purchase township-issued weapons for the entire workforce, and they are obtaining the funds by from the line item of police cruisers, police vehicles. There are 4 in the budget. The decision was made to go with only 2 this particular year. So there's $115,000 remaining on that line item. The idea is to apply the $55,000 to purchase the weapons, sights, lights, holsters, what's necessary to outfit the department with a township-issued weapon for $55,000, leaving $60,000 to reserve. And at this time of year, reserve means not going to be spent.
Okay. So we're changing the direction of what our officers will carry as far as we're going to supply them now?
Yes, and actually, Mr. Bach may be, Supervisor Bach may be able to explain.
Any comment on that?
Yeah, I will be covering this under MPD request.
Okay, so
later on
this
in
is
the agenda.
Okay, we'll talk about it later then. Okay, questions or comments about this amendment request? If not, I'll call for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the capital budget request from the police department.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I guess my only question on this thing, Mr. Jacheski, is I'm looking at the amendment. It doesn't actually list the firearms as what $55,000 are being moved to.
Correct. That's a clerical error, but that's what what is being used for. I can revise the actual piece of paperwork.
Yeah, I was just checking to make sure that the form reflects that it's for the sidearm purchases.
Okay, well, that's it there. Mr. Morgan, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
And I also vote yes. Okay, next one there,
The
Mark.
next one is the guide rail for the culvert at 15th Street. The cost of that's $11,595. And we're going to use excess funds from the Sealinger Avenue channel clearing. There was $100,000 in that line item, and we did that work ourselves. So these funds are available. Actually, I think they're kind of backwards. But we're going to use funds from the channel cleaning to do the guide rail at the 15th Street culvert,
Okay.
leaving an unspent balance of $14,253 on the ceiling or channel clearing line item.
Okay. Okay. Questions or comments from the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the capital budget request.
Okay, do I hear a second on that?
I'll second that.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes?
Mr. Morgan, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
And I also vote yes.
Okay, the third one is the Cobblestone Drive storm sewer replacement. The estimated cost of that is $17,000. And that's going to be covered, once again, from the Sealinger Avenue channel cleaning line item budget, which had a balance, these are actually kind of backwards, but it had a balance of $31,353. The $17,000 leaves, were they right? $14,253 to reserve.
Okay. Questions or comments among the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the capital amendment request.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mr. Morgan, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
And I also vote yes. Okay. Moving on to item number 7, bids and quotations. Our first one is for a tamper. This is from the Public Works Sewer Department. Gary Snyder.
Good morning, gentlemen. We are seeking permission to buy a tamper. We sought quotes for this purchase. We received 3. The first one was from Admar for $2,850. The second from Madera Equipment for $2,395. The third from Ganser Equipment for $2,095. This is a budgeted item, and it would be my recommendation to purchase the tamper from Ganser Equipment for the $2,095.
Okay. Okay. Questions or comments from the board? Okay. Being none, I'll call for a motion to approve that purchase.
I'll move to approve the purchase from Ganser Equipment for the price of $2,095.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Morgan, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes?
And I also vote yes. Okay, we have, the next one is a T-log meter parts. This is from Public Works Sewer Department. Once again, back to you, Gary.
Yes, we are seeking permission to purchase parts for our telog meters. These are meters that meter the sewage that goes into the city sewer treatment plant. They have to be rebuilt every once in a while, and that's what these parts are for. This is a CoStar's purchase from the Hawk Company. This will be a CoStar's contract number 02002, I believe, yes. And this is a budgeted item. The purchase price would be $4,082.54. It would be my recommendation to purchase the parts for the telog units for $4,082.54 from the Hawk Company under the CoStar's contract of 02-002.
Okay. And do we rebuild these ourselves? We get the parts and rebuild them, or do we have to send them out?
The rebuild is done by the city of Erie. It's part of our agreement that we
Okay.
have.
Oh,
with the
okay.
city.
As part of that agreement
We
there,
have to
okay.
furnish the
I was
parts.
just clarifying that, okay. Now, any other questions or comments among the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of telog meter parts from the Hawk Company at a price of $4,082.54.
Okay, do I hear a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
And I also vote yes. Okay, the next one's an SCBA purchase for the Planning and Development, actually Code Enforcement Department, which is part of Planning and Development. Matt Waldinger, what's up?
Thank you. Good morning. Yeah, this request is from Caleb Dixon, Chief Fire Inspector for the township. This is to replace 2 self-contained breathing apparatuses that are in the township's 929 vehicle. The current air packs are past their end of life, so this would be a replacement. It is a budgeted expense. There were 2 quotes received. One was from Whitmer Public Safety Group for $15,750, $771, and the other was from Fire Force for $19,831. So it's recommended that we purchase these two self-contained breathing apparatus from Whitmer Public Safety Group for a total of $15,771.
Okay. Questions or comments on the board? I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the SCBA purchase from Whitmer Public Safety Group for $15,771.
Okay, do I hear a second on that?
I'll second that.
Okay, Mr. Morgan, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
And Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
And I also vote yes. Okay. Next item is the guide rail contract. This is from Public Works Sewer Department. Gary Snyder, back to you.
We are seeking permission to have 112 feet of guide rail installed on the north and south side of 15th Street where the culvert was replaced earlier this year. We sought 3 quotes and received only one. The other 2 we sought quotes from were Penline and received nothing. Keystone Guide Rail was the same thing. We received no quote. The third one was for Green Acres Contracting in the amount of $11,595. It would be my recommendation to have Green Acres Contracting install the guide rail on 15th Street for the $11,595.
Okay, not to be making an issue. Have we done work with Green Acres before?
We have not that
We
I'm
have
aware
not.
of.
Okay. But they do have a good history with other municipalities?
Well,
then?
that and I believe it's either Mayor Brothers or the other folks that are doing work on I-79 use these folks
Oh,
exclusively.
okay. Okay. then.
So they do have a track record.
So they do have good,
Right.
good- okay, I've never heard of the name before until
Right.
the other 2 names I have, so, okay, just for my own curiosity. Questions among the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the guide rail purchase installation from Green Acres Contracting at a cost of $11,595.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
And I also vote yes. Okay. Next item is Cobblestone Drive Sewer Replacement, Public Works Sewer Department. Gary.
Yes, we're seeking to replace 40 feet of 18-inch HDPE pipe,
Uh-huh.
which is failing. This is in our easement. It's similar to the issue we had on the north side. We caught this early, so we want to keep from having the issue we had down there. We sought quotes for this.
Yeah.
We contacted Roselle Construction. They gave us no bid. Amendola Development gave us no bid. And Consul Construction gave us a quote of $19,000. This is a little bit over the $17,000 than what our
Yeah.
amendment was for. But since they are the only quote and we want to get a start on this, it would be my recommendation to hire Consul Construction to
Okay.
make this emergency repair.
Okay. When you sought quotes from the other one, Amendola and Roselle, did they indicate why they? I mean, it's kind of odd because they do a lion's share of work, you know.
They do, I think, this pipe is about 14 feet deep and
Yeah.
it's back on a
Okay.
pretty soggy eastment.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think they're just not equipped to handle that type
Oh,
of
okay.
repair.
Okay. Sounds fair enough.
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, I would also note that item number 19 on the agenda is the actual agreement between the township and council for this work, so I would loop.
Oh, okay.
I would join those 2 together in any motion to approve
Okay.
that work and that agreement. It's
Okay.
our standard form
Right,
agreement.
so the sewer replacement, and then take item 19 and add that to it?
Yes.
Work on, well, how about item 18, that agreement? That's the
Yeah.
access agreement.
Mr. Chairman, that's a separate agreement with the
Separate.
neighboring property owner.
Oh,
to-
okay.
To access
The
their
easement,
property.
okay.
Yes.
Okay, with what was noted by Mr. Shaw, so we're looking at the cobblestone sewer replacement, which is here under item 7, and then also moving on to item 19, which is the storm sewer replacement agreement. we should be working on those together
Yes. Approve those both at the same time.
simultaneously?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, as advised by the solicitor, do I hear a motion?
Well, I guess my only concern is you said we only have a $17,000 budget for this project, Gary?
That was for the budget amendment. I believe there is.
The previous budget amendment.
I believe we'll have to make an adjustment to that.
Mr. Juchewski, I noticed we still have $2,658 left in the channel cleaning line item.
We could apply that to this. And matter of fact, we should probably amend the amendment to make it $19,000 instead of 17.
Okay.
Which would leave 658 in the reserve, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'd first make a motion that we amend the capital budget request amendment for the cobblestone storm sewer to reflect a total cost of $19,000 instead of $17,000,
Okay.
which would leave
Okay.
$658 in the line item reserve in Public Works.
Okay, I agree on that.
So I'd make a motion to amend
Make that
that.
motion. Do
capital
I hear a
budget
second on that
amendment.
there? Mr. Bach? do I-
I'll second that.
Okay. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
And so do I. Okay, we've got that part taken care of. Now, let's move on to the sewer replacement along with the agreement. Okay, I need to hear a motion on that.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move to approve a contract with Consul Construction for
Okay.
price not to exceed $19,000 for this project, and also to approve the storm sewer replacement agreement with Consul Construction.
Okay, sounds good. Do I hear a second on that?
I'll second that.
Okay. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
And so do I. Okay. Okay, took care of two actions at the same time. Three, actually. Okay. Okay, moving on. Item number 8, it's Resolution 2019 R60 pursuant to Resolution 2015 R20 and the Municipal Records Manual to approve proposed disposition of certain township records. And these are Millcreek Police Department dash cam videos, which will be coming to be deleted due to their reaching the required, ending of the required retention period. These are from the date of November 12th to November 26th. I think that's the only thing we have on that. We don't have any paper documents. Oh, yes, we do. We do have some. If you'll scroll down there. Got some really old streetlight payment stubs, correspondence, sheriff's sale records from 2011 to 2016, lien letters, tax claim letters from that same period. And right to know requests, got many of them there. This whole resolution will cover all of those in there. So we not only have the video from the police dash cams, we also have many boxes of documents here that are eligible to be destroyed because they're no longer needed. Okay. Everybody understand that? Questions or comments? If not, I'll call for a motion.
Make a motion to approve Resolution 2019 R60.
Okay, do I hear a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Morgan, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
And I also vote yes. Okay. Okay, item number 9 is Resolution 2019 R61. It's a resolution to approve an amendment to the General Reimbursement Grant Agreement for Federal Aid Highway Projects, number 010W54, entered into Millcreek Township and the PennDOT pursuant to the joint partial settlement agreement among all parties. Mr. Shaw, this is yours.
Yes, this relates to the Caughey Road Sidewalk Project, which has been completed. If you recall, this work was performed pursuant to a settlement that was part of the Voices case under the Americans with Disabilities Act. This was a project that was funded 80% through federal highway monies and 20% by the township. The initial estimate for the project that was included in the agreement was $400,000. The final cost came in at $464,400. In order to approve the funding of this amount, the agreement between the township and PennDOT needs to be amended to reflect the final total cost of $464,400. This resolution would authorize that amendment and also authorizes the township's payment of its additional 20% of that increased cost, which would be $12,880.
Okay. Okay. Questions or comments among the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2019 R61.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
And I also vote yes. Okay, item number 10 is Resolution 2019 R62. It's a resolution to amend Resolution 2019 R51 to authorize submission of a grant application to the Pennsylvania DCED to fund the first subsequent implementation phase of the adopted Millcreek Township Early Intervention Program Plan. You want to handle this, John, or do you want, or Matt Waldinger? One of you two. One of you two's got to handle it.
I'm happy to handle it.
Okay.
Gentlemen, back in September, we submitted a grant application to DCED regarding the EIP program. It was, we requested $150,000 from the state to go towards implementation of our EIP plan. The phase was to include update to our financial software in the administration department, and also to develop a site-specific area plan for the Gateway to Presque Isle district. In conversations with DCED representatives since we submitted that application, we were informed that the max award they would have available to us would be $130,000, which would require us to amend our application request. So what this amendment is simply this would amend our previous resolution. Instead of requesting $150,000 from the state, we'll be requesting $130,000 from the state and making up that $20,000 difference in local funds.
Okay. Questions among the board? Comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion. John, you're going to make the motion on that?
I'll make the motion to approve Resolution 2019 R62.
Okay. Now, how about a second on that?
I'll second that.
Okay. Mr. Morgan, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
And so do I. Okay, item number 11. This is a zoning hearing board appointment, and I'll just turn it over to you, John. You're the liaison to the zoning department.
Mr. Chairman, we have a vacancy on our zoning hearing board in the position of alternate. Today, I'd like to nominate Scott Calhoun to fill that position. Mr. Calhoun currently serves as Vice President of Commercial Lending for Erie Bank. Mr. Calhoun has over 30 years of experience in finance and banking, holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration from Youngstown State University. He's also volunteered his time on the Millcreek Youth Athletic Association, the SBDC Advisory Board, and Our Lady of Peace Finance Committee, and he currently serves as a board member of the Millcreek Education Foundation. So I would put that form of a motion to appoint Mr. Scott Calhoun to as the zoning hearing board alternate.
Do I hear a second on that?
I will second that.
Okay, Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
And I also vote yes.
And Mr. Calhoun's actually in the audience today.
Okay.
So thank you, Scott. I don't know if the board has any questions for him or.
Okay. Well, thank you for stepping up to the plate. Appreciate that.
Thanks,
Good luck
Scott.
to you, and Mr. Waldinger and his staff will be in touch with you shortly with all the details of this glamorous position you've been appointed to.
Yes, you'll be very popular.
You might want to bring your larger car for all the files you're going to get.
Okay, moving on. Item number 12, financial security release request. This is from the Community Country Day School, in which they are the developer. Matt Waldinger.
Okay, one second.
Okay.
Technical issue.
No problem.
Have to- Sorry about this.
No problem.
I'll switch to sorry, technology. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Okay. My apologies. Yeah, we have received a request from the Community Country Day School to release the financial security that they have for stormwater improvements that they did for an addition to their building. We had the improvements inspected by Green and Peterson Incorporated. They have approved those improvements. And we have a form signed by Township Engineer Ann Sokol certifying that everything has been complete. So at this time, I would like to ask that the board release First National Bank check number 210-113190 in the amount of $24,255.
Okay. Questions or comments from the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion for that requested action.
I'll make a motion to approve the Community Country Day School financial security release request.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
And Mr. Morgan, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
And I also vote yes. Okay, item number 13, sidewalk deferral requests. Our first one is regarding 3256 West 39th Street. Randolph Mikulak, I hope I pronounced that right, is the developer. Matt Waldinger.
Thank you. Yes, we have a request from Mr. Mikulak, who is building a home on West 39th Street. It's actually at the corner of West 39th and Winchester Road. He had asked for a sidewalk deferral for the sidewalk along Winchester Road only. Currently, there is a sidewalk for the home to the east of his, so he would be connecting along 39th Street. But there is no sidewalk from West 39th to 38th Street on Winchester, so he's asking for a deferral along that frontage for this time.
Okay, and that's just until the other sidewalks are
Yeah,
constructed?
if
That's all it
sidewalks
is.
to the property to the north are ever installed, he would have to do it then.
Typical policy that we have, which is good there. Okay. Questions or comments? I'll call for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve this sidewalk deferral request.
Okay, do I hear a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Morgan, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
And Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
I also vote yes. We have one more here. It's at 3731 Dominic Drive. Jeffrey Minucci is the developer. Matt Waldinger.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Minucci is building a home on Dominic Drive. He has requested a sidewalk deferral as there are no sidewalks currently on Dominic Drive any further than the driveway that is closest to Anne Marie. At this time, we see no issue with that. There are two additional lots to the west of him, so if either of the, or if the lot to the west of him was ever developed and a sidewalk built, then he would be required to do the same.
Okay. Sounds good. Questions or comments? If there aren't any, I'll call for a motion on
If
this
I
one.
could, John, just real
Yes.
quick. Matt, on the, as you're looking at the over aerial, the house that's on the corner, I think, of Dominic and, is that,
I think that's Anne Marie.
and that has a partial sidewalk on the side. Do you know if they have an agreement to finish that at some point?
As far as I know, no, it would have had to have been done at the time that the house was built, and it wasn't, so.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, call for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the sidewalk deferral request for 3731 Dominic Drive.
Okay, and a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Morgan, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
And I also vote yes. Okay, item number 14 is a lien satisfaction request. I'm going to turn this over to Mark Shaw, our solicitor.
Yes, we've been approached by the owner of 723 Montpelier Avenue, asking the township to file a satisfaction of claim relating to the installation of a sanitary sewer in that area that occurred in the early 1950s. The township checked its records and has no evidence of there being an open receivable owed to the township on that property. In addition, if these types of liens need to be renewed every certain period of time, and there's no indication of that having occurred. So based on this, we've concluded that this release should be approved at this time.
Okay. Questions or comments regarding this? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the satisfaction of terms of articles of agreement and release of claim.
Okay. We hear a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Morgan, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
And Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
And I also vote yes. Item number 15, Whispering Woods easement agreement, and this is for Mystic Ridge Lift Station. Mark Shaw, back to you.
Yes, as part of the dissolution of the Millcreek Township Sewer Authority, we discovered that there were a few lift stations that were constructed on property over which the authority never had an actual easement. Before you is one of those situations. This relates to a lift station that's located in Whispering Woods. We approached the original developer who still owned the property on which the lift station was located. and he was willing to execute this easement that is included in your packet, and we would recommend approval then of this easement agreement. Once it's executed, we'll then record it, and then the township's interest will be protected.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion on that action.
Make a motion to approve the easement agreement?
Okay. Your second?
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mr. Morgan, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
And I also vote yes. Item number 16 is the Emergency Response Team roster approval request. Let's see here. Somebody have that?
I nominate Mr. Bach for this report.
Mr. Bach, do you have that information?
I do have that in front
Okay,
of me.
well.
I would be happy to hand it back.
And, okay, we'll be happy to listen in.
Okay, we have a request from Caleb Dixon, who is conspicuously absent here. His recommendation is to, for the following employees to be on the ERT roster, the 929 response team. Himself, Nick Bannister, Kalen O'Leary, they're from Code Enforcement, Kirk McCaslin, Steve Santucci, Rick Adams from Streets, Louis Ferrara from Sewer, and Mr. Grow. He's putting that request into, this resurrects the 929 team, so to speak, and gets them back on assignment.
Okay.
And this follows the procedure that the supervisors adopted for that emergency response team.
Yeah. Shows that we have met the certification requirements
Yes.
to fulfill those duties of those positions.
Correct.
Okay.
Put that in the form of a motion.
Okay. Do I hear a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Morgan, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
And I also vote yes. Okay. Item number 17 is the Erie Golf Course Agreement. Mr. Shaw, I'm going to turn that over to you.
Yes. As you know, the longtime operators of the Erie Golf Course, SMS, are retiring at the end of the year and will not be renewing their agreement to operate Erie Golf Course. The township put out a request for a proposal for the Erie Golf Course and the Millcreek Golf and Learning Center, and unfortunately received no responses due to, as we were getting feedback, the concerns over interest in having to operate both golf courses. There was interest in operating Erie Golf Course, but not the Millcreek Golf and Learning Center at the same time. As a result of that, we entered into negotiations with those who were interested in operating the Erie Golf Club, and today we are recommending entering into an agreement with an entity by the name of 7637 Enterprises, Inc., to operate the Erie Golf Club. This company is led by Dale Stullmiller, who is present today. He is an avid golfer and retired businessman who currently serves as chairman of the board of Radius Bank, which is located in Boston, Massachusetts. Radius Bank has 150 employees and assets of approximately $1.3 billion as of June 30 of 2019. He previously owned 2 construction companies, which he operated for 30-plus years until winding down a few years ago, and he currently resides in Erie. Mr. Stullmiller will be assisted by Nate Onderko, who also is from Erie, who's been in the food service business for a number of years. He was the prior owner of Fuddruckers at the mall and currently owns and operates Susie B's Pretzel Town at the mall. So he would be responsible for the food operations at the golf course. The agreement would become effective on January 1 of 2020 and would be for a period of 5 years, ending on December 31, 2024. Under the agreement, the operator will pay Millcreek a minimum of $33,000 the first 2 years and a minimum of $38,000 for the last 3 years of the contract. In addition, in each year, if the golf course revenues exceed $325,000 per year, the township would receive 8% of that amount above $325,000. The revenues from this arrangement are similar to those that the township received under the prior arrangement with SMS. The operator would also pay a security deposit of $10,000. Under the agreement, the operator is required to manage, operate, and maintain the golf course and restaurant. They're responsible for all labor, equipment, and utility costs associated with running the golf course and restaurants. Under the agreement, the township remains responsible for any repair and replacement of structural damage major mechanical system issues and any main irrigation system issues not caused by the operator, utilities during non-operating times, and repair and maintenance of the asphalt parking areas, including plowing according to the township's plowing schedule. We've met a number of times with Mr. Stolmiller and Mr. Onderco to work through these issues, and we've checked the references, and I think we feel confident that they will be very successful in operating the golf course. And Mr. Stolmiller, I don't know if you have any words you would like to add?
Would you like to come up to the podium there,
if you would.
Dale? Yep. Introduce yourself. And
As Mark described, I'm Dale Stolmiller. I'm honored to be the new operator of the Erie Golf Club. I think it's been under-advertised what a great golf course this is for a municipality this size. A.W. Tillinghast, who was the original designer of the golf course, is recognized as one of the 10 best designers ever in the golf world. And I'm extremely anxious to get going and advertise this golf course and increase the play there. I love the golf course, and I'm sure anyone who plays it, who's a halfway decent golfer, will really enjoy it.
yeah.
Happy to be here.
Yes, okay. Thank you. Any questions from the board here? I know we've talked about this contract already, so.
So the recommendation would be to approve or accept the proposal of, get the name again, 7637 Enterprises, Inc. You have before you the agreement. There's still some blanks that we need to fill out, but subject to filling that out, authorizing the chairman to execute that agreement.
Okay. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, with all that said, I'm going to take the thunder on this one. I'll make the motion to approve this contract with Mr. Stolmiller's company, and that's a 5-year term for that contract?
Yes.
To operate the Erie Golf Course. So I put that in the form of a motion. Do I hear a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Morgan, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
And I also vote yes. Thank you. Okay. Next item is item number 18, which is the access agreement for 6257 Cobblestone. Of course, we've already approved that. Matt Waldinger, over to you.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, this is in relation to the repair contract that you awarded earlier. This is for the neighboring property to the north or west. The easement that we have for the property is a little bit narrow, and we felt like we may have to go out of its bounds some on the neighboring property. The neighbor has graciously offered us a right to enter his property to access the rear so that we can get to where the problem is. So this is an agreement between the township and the property owner, giving us the right temporarily to enter the property and then restore it once we're complete.
Okay. Questions or comments from the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the easement, or access agreement.
Okay. Do I hear a second on that?
I'll second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
And I also vote yes. Okay, item number 19, we've already discussed. October 20th is, number 20 is the October building construction report. Matt Waldinger.
Thank you. Yes, we have the October construction report here. There we go. Yes, in the month of October, there were a total of 9 residential permits, including 2 new residential buildings constructed, for a total increase in value of $1,660,966. There were 16 non-residential permits issued for a total increased value of $207,479. So for the month of October, 25 permits were issued, total increased value of $1,868,445. That netted $3,150 in zoning fees. We do have this report available online later today, and you can also pick up a hard copy in the Planning and Development Office.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Okay, communications. We'll start with the treasurer. Mark Shahesky, do you have anything?
Just very briefly, we received notice from the Auditor General's office that the audit of our liquid fuel funds for 2017 and 2018 were clean. There were no exceptions, no paybacks, no recommendations. And that report will be available on the website later today or tomorrow.
Okay, that's good news there. Okay. Anything else then? Or
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Okay, moving on, we have a training and travel request. Do you want to handle that, or do you want me to send it over to Matt Waldinger?
Matt can handle it.
Okay, Matt, you want to handle that one?
Yes, thank you. This is a request for two employees, Julie Maggio and Sebastian Puda, to travel to to travel to Meadville, Pennsylvania, next Tuesday, November 19th, for a building code official update class. The class will be from 8:30 a.m. till 4 p.m. at the Holiday Inn Express in Meadville. Cost per person is $125 and includes the training manual, breakfast, and lunch. We were requesting a use of a township vehicle for travel. This is a budgeted expense in the planning and development training budget, and it will provide valuable information about code updates and best practices. The continuing education credits earned for this class will be used by Ms. Maggio and Mr. Puda to maintain various certifications that they hold. So I would recommend approval of this request.
Okay. We hear a motion on that.
I'll make a motion to approve the travel and training request.
Okay, and a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
And I also vote yes. Okay, and let's see here, we have, you have anything else, John, from your, any other communication?
Sure, just briefly. Gentlemen, myself and Mr. Waldinger were absent from the October 22nd meeting, and we weren't here because we were down in Reading, PA for the annual Pennsylvania chapter of the American Planning Association, and we were in attendance because Millcreek Township was given an award for our Embrace Millcreek plan. So 4 plans statewide were received the Outstanding Plan Award. Embrace Millcreek was one of them, so I just wanted to publicly thank our Planning Commission. Those members are Gene Strohmeyer, John Police, Doug Prozan, Pete Cabea, Dave Skelly, Scott Stewart, Lynn McCabe, and also at the time of the plan, Tim Nagel was one of our planning commissioners for all the work they put into that document. I also want to recognize Matt Waldinger and his team for taking the lead on this project, and to thank really all the Millcreek residents who came out over the past couple of years when that plan was being developed to help us kind of set a vision and tone for the township. And it really is an honor to be recognized and to receive that award. So congratulations, Matt, and our planning commission, and thank you for everyone who participated in that project.
Okay, that's good. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, John.
Okay, and let's see here. I see we have a training request from the Public Works Department from sewers. Gary, I'm going to refer it over to you for further
We're
details.
seeking permission to send 3 employees to a Pennsylvania Rural Water Continuing Education class at the Ambassador Conference Center in Erie. The class will be held on November 13th. The total cost for the 3 individuals would be $285, and the use of a township vehicle for travel is requested.
Okay.
There is money in the travel budget to cover the cost. The 3 employees would be Bert Mayo, Keith Lawson, and myself. The hours would be going towards our sewer licenses for the year.
Yeah.
And that would be my recommendation to approve that, attending that
Okay.
continuing education class.
Okay. Any questions? If not, I'll make a motion to approve that training request.
I'll
Is there a
second.
John?
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
And I also vote yes. Okay, and let's see here. We did have executive sessions with our solicitor on October the 24th and also on November the 7th to discuss some legal matters that we're involved with. And I think that's all I have. Over to you, Mr. Bach.
Thank you, John. This is what we touched base on earlier in the meeting. This is a request from Police Chief Scott Height. He's requesting the purchase of up to 70 Glock handguns and 70 additional magazines from Markle Supply. The total price is $36,295. The Glock firearm is the weapon recommended for duty use by our department firearms instructors. The handguns will be issued to all officers per capita. These weapons will replace the personally owned firearms currently in use for duty purposes. The manufacturer, Glock, sets the weapons prices for their distributors. Markle Supply is our Glock distributor. Capital budget amendment, as we discussed previously, was included in the agenda to cover the cost of this purchase. Just an informational note here from the chief. It is also the department's intention to issue the weapons with a light and a holster. They are in the process of securing 2 additional quotes for each. The approximate cost for those items combined is around $17,200. That request will come at a later time, but today we're just requesting the purchase of the Glock handguns.
Okay. What model are they getting on that?
There's, I believe, 3 different models
Okay.
that are going to be purchased, and this is to streamline the process for the officers. As of now, each officer is carrying a different, conceivably a different make, model, type of gun. There's no uniformity. So this not only brings the uniformity into the department, it will also eventually save money on the purchase of ammunition because we're standardizing the ammunition to 9mm caliber.
So they're all 9s then?
It's going to be all 9s, so that will help. That's the kind of the choice of nationally of ammunition now, and it is the most, in my opinion, it's one of the most reasonably priced ammunitions out there. This also helps with liability purposes long term for the department as well, and it's also a safety upgrade. If there are officers that are involved in an incident, these the magazines will be interchangeable amongst the weapons. So if if they are together and there is an incident where they do need to exchange magazines or do something tactically, this will fulfill that as well.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Of course, this is the first time that we are purchasing weapons for because the officers have always traditionally have been required to purchase their own, and
Right.
and this time we're now doing it first time since about 1953. I think when the police department started, I think it was 53, and
Right.
so it's a good move there. So.
Yeah, I think it's overdue, and I just want to thank the hard work of our department instructors, Corporal Caldwell, Sergeant Hauber, and Chief Height. I hope I'm not forgetting anyone, but I'm sure there may have been some other people involved in testing these weapons and making sure they're the right fit for our department, and I'm confident they are.
Okay.
I
Is that in the form of a motion?
I'll put that in the form of a motion, John.
Do I hear a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Morgan, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
And I also vote yes. Okay. Do you have anything else?
That's all I have.
Okay. Okay, I'll turn over to Nina. Student Ambassador report from McDowell.
Thank you. First, we had a McDowell senior, J.R. Dandria, who auditioned and was offered a spot in the National Chorus Festival, which took place this past weekend in Orlando, Florida. He flew down there by himself, and he sung with a renowned conductor alongside students from across the nation. And he will be joining 11 more students for the District Chorus Festival and competition in January. Next, tomorrow at 7 o'clock, an induction ceremony will take place in the McDowell Little Theater to induct select students who have applied and been accepted into the McDowell National Honor Society. Yesterday, McDowell's ROTC cadets honored veterans in and outside of our school with a ceremony to thank them for their service and honor those who lost their lives fighting for our country. So that's an annual thing that we're very proud of. And finally, about 30 students, I want to say, ranging from 9th to 12th grade, have been recognized with the AP Scholar Award. This award is given to students who have received a 4 or higher on 3 or more AP tests. And we are extremely proud of our hardworking students, and we're very thankful for our teachers that make that possible.
That's for sure. Okay.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Nina.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Mark Shaw, anything for us?
Nothing further.
Okay. Cheryl, you have right to know report.
I do. For the month of October, we received 5 requests. 3 were granted, 1 was denied, 1 was partially denied, for a total of 13 hours preparation time.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Matt Waldinger, anything else we need to know about?
Nothing further.
Gary Snyder, anything else?
Nothing else.
Okay. Citizens to be heard. Do we have any citizens to be heard? Anything? If not, we'll call for a motion at 10:22 to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, we're out of here. Thank you.